The first girl that I ever loved was when I was 17, and she was 17 as well. We met at a Waffle House. That was the first time. That was the first time that I saw her, and that was back when you could smoke at a Waffle House. So we were both smoking a cup of coffee, and I was with friends of mine, and she was with friends of hers, and this was back in like 2007. So I had like the short Chelsea cut, and she had like the big swoop, the big, typical lesbian haircut. But I was, sitting with friends of mine, and I was like, who's that? I was really curious about her. I wanted to know who she was. We kind of talked a little bit, and I heard things about her, and we both dated other people besides, each other. By that point, by the time of us meeting, we had already dated other people. But she was definitely the first one that I fell for, that I felt something stronger than anything else that I had felt before for any other woman. Our relationship was on and off for 5 years. This was not some little fling. It wasn't anything short. But it was wonderful and awful and chaotic and stressful and manic and loving and all of these different adjectives. She was still is, a musician. She played guitar. So I would always go to all of the different like little local coffee shops and venues where she'd play, and I always loved watching her play. That's where I feel like she exposed herself more, was when she was playing music. She was very guarded of herself. And her parents were very conservative. So that made the relationship difficult. But we still made it work. We were there for each other. We loved each other. And even though, we were 17, 18, and people always say, that young people can't fall in love. Young people don't know what love is. I think that's so wrong. Because I know, speaking for my 17-year-old self, I knew what love was. And she was beautiful, and she was funny and talented, and she still is all those things. It was so cool to date someone who understood me on all of these different levels, and that was the first time that it happened. It wasn't just the physical. It wasn't just the holding. She got me on levels that no one else did. She understood the darkness. She understood everything that you don't want to speak about, anything that you don't want to disclose. You don't want to show this vulnerability, but she got that. And even though we were ridiculous, and even though we were so up and down, and everything else, she was my best friend. On our good days, anyway. But we had this really, really beautiful relationship. Even when we weren't dating, even when we were, friends or trying to be friends, we really did have this beautiful relationship that I will always cherish, that I will always, hold close. If I was taught anything, it would be about true love, true intimacy. More so than sex. That's surface, that's easy. What we had was more than that. It was more intimate. And it was chaotic, and it was passionate and it was raw and it was real. It was a real love. She was the love of my life. Turned enemy, turned best friend. And to this day, I'm very proud to say that the girl that I loved when I was 17 is still the same girl that I love at 26. She's still my very best friend. How lucky am I?